This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, welcome to the session. I hope you can hear me and see my screen. Moshe, can you hear me?
Yes, come on.
Okay, so today we will do one thing here. First of all, we will see all these small things because where we can't do anything. And in the meantime, others might join. 1 second, let me open Visual Studio and run it as admin. And how about your practice? How is it going? Hmm?
What do you ask?
Yeah, is your practice going good or are you facing any issues?
No, I don't. I do some practice. I don't get issue.
Okay, all right. Okay, let me open the ICICI Bank solution and please download it, because that solution contains each
No,
and everything.
you don't explain how create SSRS by query. Don't data provider. That's this point is missing.
Which one? By using?
Using query.
Using the query is very simple here. Temp table is
Yes,
difficult. So I
I know.
use temp table and I
I
ask you to practice.
I try before this course create SSRS in
Hmm?
my company
Hmm?
by query, but I hope to show this more examples.
For SSRS?
Yes.
SSRS is same everywhere. Okay. You can try whatever the example you want to try, you can try and you can ping me. I will let you know if you are facing any issues. Because even if it is 1 or 10, I need to take the same examples again back to back. But for query, I will show you. Okay. During the end of the session, I will show you. Okay. We'll finish and then I will show you how to work
Very,
with it. It's not a big deal.
very more than data provider.
It's very easy because simply you will open the data and you will show it because the query is already made.
Yes.
Whereas RDP is difficult. RDP, coming to that one, you need to write the business logic and a whole lot of things. Okay. Which is
Yes.
why I will always go with RDP, and for query I ask you people to try. Okay. Anyways, no problem. I'll show you one example with query based. Okay. Okay. So see here. Today, first of all, I want to go with all these small topics. Okay. So whatever you see here in this, except class extensions, even class extensions as well, you should be knowing by now. Okay. Even then, I will explain you one example on how to work with one small customization, because already that customization we have started, and we have seen a lot of things when we are working with the tables and forms. Okay, each and everything where we can customize and how to customize and how to use chain of command, how to use event handlers, everything we have seen. The same thing I will show you with classes as well. Okay, yeah. Now see here, if I open the application explorer, there are few things where you can create the extension. From that, first one is extended data type. Let me take this ABC%A and right click on create extension. Creating a EDT extension is very simple. Simply right click and create an extension. Now if you open this and if you go to the properties, you can see whatever the options that you can edit will be very limited. One is you can add the form help, you can add the label help text, that's it. Array elements, not possible. Table relations, not possible. Table references, not possible. Okay, this is the only thing that you can update in a EDT extension. Okay, label, help text. So whatever I suggest is, whenever you want to go with extending the EDTs, go with the EDT inheritance. Okay, at least you will have few more properties which you can apply. Or the second thing is, I will suggest to create a new EDT here. Okay, now the second one is base enum. For this base enum, there are some important things to remember. In the properties, if you see, you can see there is something called use enum value. If that use enum value is set to yes, then what you can do? You can update the enum value, because people will have a habit of using the enum value starting at 101 when they are creating a new enums. Okay, but that is not possible in Dynamics 365 unless and until this use enum value is set to yes. And there is one more property called is extensible. You can see it here. Is extensible. If that is extensible is set to true, then only you can create extension of it. If it is set to no, you can't create extension of it. Okay, you can see. Now if I right click, create extension is disabled for this, because is extensible is false. For this I can create an extension because is extensible is set to true. Please remember, these are the very important properties, two very important properties which we will be using. And here as well, the things that you can do are limited. Now for example, if I have none, I can't change anything except label. Okay, if I want to add a new element, I can add new elements up to 255, and you can change the properties of it. Okay, this is about the enum extension. Okay, please remember, enum or EDT or all these things, the things that you can do will be very limited. Table extension we have seen. Coming to the views, here, whatever the thing you can do in table extension, the same thing you can do in view extension. Okay, the same thing you can do in view extension. If I open this, now if I go to properties, first of all, you can see nothing is editable. Okay, nothing is editable here. If I go to view metadata, I can see a data source here. Not able to change the data source. You can add title and description. Data sources, I can't change this data source, but you can see there is a child data source. Okay, this is okay. Let me check the query property here. Okay, they have used the query. If they have not used the query, you can add the child data sources. Okay, if they have not used the query, you can add the child data source directly. Now if you want to add the child data source, you need to go to the query and then you can update. I will show you when we go to the query extension. Okay, activity list open status, we will see that one only. Okay, now if you want to add new fields, you can simply drag and drop and you can add here. You have project. Similarly, if you want to add new fields, you can simply drag and drop and you can add. Okay, in the view extension. Field groups, you can create any number of field groups. Indexes, this you can't do. Okay, relations, no. State machines, no. Mappings, yes. You can create a mapping. Methods, you need to write them in a class. Events, if there are any, you can override. Okay, you need to, what you need to do, you need to create methods in a class if you want to work with any methods. Okay, this is about a view extension. See here, the changes that you can do are very limited. Okay, which is why I will take them at the end. Okay, now activity list open status. Now let me create an extension for this query. Go to Solution Explorer. You can see simple query extensions. Click on open. Now if I expand the data source, I want to delete this data source. Let's see. No, you cannot. Now let's say I want to add the child data source. You can add a child data source. Group by, not possible. Yeah. Okay, you might think, oh, he's saying wrong. Let me drag and drop into the group by. Can you see this? Order by, it will allow. Having and group by will not allow. Ranges, it will allow. Okay. Why it will not allow group by and having is, group by can will force to get less amount of data from the DB. Okay, whatever the query you have now, it will not get whatever the buffer or whatever the actions you are performing, it will not do all of them. Okay, whereas if you add the range, later on you can change the range in the query itself by pressing Ctrl G. You can that means sorry, not Ctrl G. In the filter you can update the range, which is why they allowed adding the ranges. You can order by, whereas group by and having is not allowed. Wherever fetching of data is going to change, they will not allow that properties. Now you can add the data source. You can add any number of data sources and you can fetch the data here. Okay, you can add the data source, you can get the data. Okay, this is about the query extension. And then data entity. Data entity is again similar to a table. Is similar to a table. Simply right click, create an extension. If you want to write the methods, what you need to do? If you want to write the methods similar to that of a table, create a class, write the methods. And if I go to the properties, here as well, frankly speaking, instead of using data entity extension, it's best to create a new entity. Okay, please remember, creating a data entity extension and updating the properties would be very difficult. You can add the child data sources, but don't do this. Instead of this, create a new entity and start working with it. That would be very flexible. Data entity extensions, if you use, they are not as flexible as the regular ones. Okay.
But if suppose we create an entity from a table, we can't again create the entity again for the same table, right?
Who told you this?
I have created, but the table didn't again come in the create new entity
You
wizard.
can create any number of entities for the same table. Just you need to change the name. You can create any number of entities. You need to change the staging table name and you need to change the entity name. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. You can create any number of entities. Okay. Please remember. Next, here you can see the fields. Okay. If you want to add more number of fields, you can add them. You can add the new mapped field and unmapped field, whatever you want. Field groups created, keys. It will not allow you to create the keys. And what about this one? No delete. You cannot add. Okay, now let's take one example. I want to drag and drop this to the entity key. It will not allow. You cannot modify anything in the keys because all these are the restrictions, sir. Please remember, I don't like this kind of restrictions, which is why I will suggest to go with new EDT, go with new base enum if possible, to go with unless and until you have a hard requirement wherein you need to change the existing stuff, then only go with extensions. If you feel that even if I create the new one, it makes no difference, then go with the new ones. Okay, create a new one and work with it. Okay, and methods, events. If you want to work with these methods and events, what you need to do? You need to create a class and then you need to work with them. Okay, if you want to work with the methods, create a new extension, abbreviations entity underscore extension, and in that you need to type extension of data entity str in the brackets, mention the data entity name, and go with the methods and go with the events. You can do whatever you want. The same thing as we have done for the table and forms. The same thing will come with the data entities. Okay, for composite data entities, again, they have not provided the direct extensions. Aggregated, no. Maps, maps I asked you to try. I don't know whether you have tried it or not. And the next one is table collections. Please remember, these table collections are not being used now. Instead of this, because in AX 2012 there was a concept called virtual company that is completely gone in D365. We have a concept called cross company data sharing. We are using cross company data sharing. Okay, and now let's come to the class extensions. Coming to the class extensions, how to create them? It's very simple. Okay, please remember, when I was saying this, the first thing the people will say, okay, in the interviews, right click and create an extension. You can't do that for classes. Yeah, you can't do that for classes. Okay, so I want to take one example. Okay, whenever you post the sales order, there is a class called sales form letter. What is the name? Sales form letter. This is the framework, the form letter framework, which will get triggered whenever you work with the sales orders. So let's say I want to validate whenever I confirm the sales order, where I need to write the code. You can write the code in the validate method of the sales form letter. Okay, in the sales form letter we have a method called validate, and in this validate method we are going to write the code to perform the validations. So how to do that? Okay, because in this case there are no events here. What you can do in case of classes, you can either go with what you need to do here. You can either go with event handlers or either with
Chain of commands.
Chain of command. These are the only two things that are possible. Okay. So right click on the add button, new item, and create a new class. Okay. Code, and then go to the class. Let's call it as ICI sales form letter underscore extension. Okay. And even here as well, I told you, you can create any number of extensions you want. But you need to follow the best practices. Please remember this. Okay. Now it has created, but as usual, this should be final, and then you need to use attribute called extension of, and now you need to use class str. Previously we have used table str, form control str, form data source str. Now we need to use class str. That's the only thing. Okay, sales form letter done. Okay, and then here say now I want to write the validate method. So for validate, what is the syntax? Public boolean and then validate. And please remember, if I go to this sales form letter validate method, one second, view code, let it open the code. Okay, validate. Now you can see there is a parameter. Okay, now you have the object called from equal to null. Okay, copy, paste, done. Okay, the next step is open, close. Here you need to call next validate. That's it, done. This is what you need to write. Now you need to decide whether you want to write the validation before the next or after the next. Oh, still it is throwing the error. What is this? It says not all paths return the value. We need to return the value. Okay. Now let me do one thing. Let me call it as boolean check, and then check equal to, and then return check. Simple. That's it. Now here it returns the value of the check. Oh, what is this? Default parameter values on chain of command methods may not be provided on corresponding extension methods. Okay, this should be non-default. This is what it is saying. Now let me try whether it throws the error. No, it's not trying. Okay, now let's say we have created the fields. What are those? Minimum threshold, maximum threshold, and I want the customer to allow or the user to allow confirming the sales order only when it lies in the threshold values. How to do that? Let's see. Let's take the sales table, and then sales line, and then we need customer table, because in the customer itself we have the data. Nah? I need to get the line amount. I need to get, now I got all things. Okay. Now I need to get the sales table. How to do that? Sales table equal to, in chain of command this will work. This is the benefit here. This dot sales form letter contract dot param sales table. Now you got the sales table. If you have the sales table, you have everything. Now customer table equal to, how to get it? Cust table colon, you need to use the find method. We need to use the find method, and then we need to pass the customer account. Sales table dot cust account. Okay, done. Okay, and now I need to get the line amount. Select sum of line amount from sales line, where sales line dot sales ID equal to sales table dot sales ID. Done. Now you got the sum of the amount. Now what you need to simply write the if condition. If sales line dot line amount is less than cust table dot minimum threshold, and, or, okay, let me take or instead of and, or would be the meaningful one. If I use end, then what will happen? Okay, 1 second. Let me think. Sales line dot line amount is greater than cost table dot maximum threshold. Okay. So why it took or if any one of the condition is met, I want to throw the error. Okay. Here you can start, close, and then you can say check equal to check failed, and in the bracket you can say simply threshold failed. Done. Semicolon. Return check. Okay. Now if you want to write the new methods, you can write a click or whatever you want. You can write a new method and you can call them. This is how you are going to work with COC in classes. As simple as this. Similarly, you'll get it out. Oh, this is good. What about the other one? Okay. Now let me go to the validate method again back. Where is validate? Where is validate? Validate. Hey, where did I miss it here? This one. Okay. Now if I click on if I right click here, oh, where is this? What happened? Okay. I am not getting the event handler. Yeah. This is one more thing that will be confusing. You need to open the designer. Okay. Now go to validate. Now you'll find it. Right click, copy event handler, post event handler. You can try with pre-event handler if you want. Paste it over here. Okay. You can create this event handler even in the extension. That makes no difference. Okay. But that's up to you again. Okay. Now, actually, I want to take the same piece of code and I want to see whether it works or not. Copy, copy, copy. Paste, paste, paste. Okay. Next. This is not going to work. So remove this. Now check. This check is not needed. Remove this. Here as well. Instead of this one, I will make a hard coded error. Okay. I will say hard error. Throw error. Okay. Done. Now this dot sales form. This is not going to work in event handlers. Then how to get it? Yeah, it's really difficult. You know. So here we are coming from sales form letter. So I will use sales form letter equal to args dot get this. So what does this args dot get this does? It will get the current. What is the current one? Sales form letter. I got the sales form letter. Now from this sales form letter, I want to get the sales form table. How to do that? Sales form letter dot. Okay. There is no need of contract. Sales form letter dot check sales table. Okay. Sales form letter dot sales table. Done. As simple as this. Can you see this? Very small modification. This is how we are going to work with the class extensions. In the class extensions, there are only two things that are possible. One is event handler, and the second one is chain of command. This is how you are going to work with event handler, and this is how you are going to work with events. Got it? Sorry, chain of command. Okay. These are the two things that we can work out with a class. Please remember. Okay. And very simple, as simple as this. There is no other things that you can do with this one. Okay. And if you run, when you confirm the sales order, this will get hit. Depending upon the values you set, it will throw the error or it will throw the check fail. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. Okay. This is about how to work with the class extensions. Okay. As simple as this. Please remember, the difficult thing that you will face is with form and table extensions. Okay. Whereas coming to the class extensions, it's very simple. Now let me come back to the menu item extensions. Okay. Let me come to the next one, which is menu item extensions. User interface, menu items, display. Let me take one of them. I have the this one. Okay, right click, create extension. Okay, now get ready to surprise. Okay, because they because all these things now they will not allow us to modify many things here. They will allow us only to modify very few things. Country region codes, even if you modify it makes no difference. So you can label, help text, and then nothing else. So what will you do here? Okay, menu item extension. If the customer requirement is to change the label, then only you can use it. Otherwise, creating a menu item extension is waste. If you want to change the label, then only create menu item extension. Otherwise, it's of no use. The next one is reports. Okay, people used to ask me for reports there are no extensions. See here, for reports, for SSRS reports, it's a class. You can create a class extension and then you can modify the SSRS report. But whereas coming to this one, report modifications, you can't do. You need to create a new report out of it. Please remember. Okay, so I used to suggest instead of creating a report extension of a class, if you have a requirement of some logic change, small logic change, then do that. Otherwise, create a new report. Okay, next, workflows. There are no for approvals you have, for tasks you have, for types, whereas for the other ones you don't have it. Okay, we will see workflow within some time. Label files. Okay, for label files, there is no need of creating the extension. Please remember, simply create a new label file and start working in your model. Okay, next, resources. No extensions for resources. Configuration keys, there are no extensions. You need to create your key and you need to start working. Security. For security, you have the extensions for roles and duties. So how to do that? Okay, you can make a sub role instead of create a extension, but that's up to you. Okay, because sometimes people will say I want to add some information to the existing role, then you can do that. Okay, privileges, you can add a new privilege. Sub roles, it will not allow. Duties, you can create a new duty. Sub roles are not allowed, whereas privileges you can add, duties you can add, permissions you can add. Okay, please remember. As similarly, how we will add privileges, duties, permissions to the roles, the same thing you can do here as well in the role extension. Okay, this is about the security extensions. Okay, and menu item extensions. See here, whenever you are working, try to create a new role and add a sub role, and if that is not the possible case, then only go with security extension. Okay, because security extension, if you are giving the standard role and you have added some new privilege and you want to assign that standard role itself to the end user, then we will use security extension. In all the other cases, we will create a new one. Okay, and see here, up to now you know these things here. Delegate, I think I have explained, but I will let you know what is it once again. Okay, now coming to these delegates, we are not going to create these delegates. Okay, please remember, because in the past, I think first 2-3 batches, what I used to say is I used to explain how to modify the system code. Okay, you can modify the system code directly here, but you know what happened? What happened? You know, they have updated the system code and they have checked in. Frankly speaking, that will cause major issues in your code. Okay, which is why after the second batch now I stopped it. Okay, I have not showed how to modify the system code or how to work with the few things, because that created a major issues for few students. Okay, I told them it should not be modified, but they modified it and then they have checked in the code as well. Okay, so which is why what I have done is later on, instead of going with the standard piece of code, I showed all these things in this fashion. Okay, okay, now let me show you what is a delegate. Now if I go to the sales form letter, okay, and you can see here, get remain before quantity delegate. Okay, get remain before quantity delegate. If I press Ctrl F, and you can see get remain before quantity delegate. Okay, so for the delegate, you will write, we are going to create a delegate in this fashion in our code, and for this delegate you can write a method call here, and what we can do is we can subscribe this delegate. You need to right click and click on the copy event handler. Okay, this is called subscription. Now let me go to any one of the method. I will go for this any one of the class. 1 second, I'm checking. Okay, let me go to this arithmetic operations. Okay, and I want to just show you how the delegate will be. Okay, which is why I'm using it. If I paste this, you can see get remain before quantity delegate. Subscribe to. You are subscribing to this particular delegate. So when you are subscribing to this delegate, what will happen is whenever you have a call, this dot get remain before quantity delegate, it is going to call all the delegate subscriptions. Okay, so it will call this delegate subscription, and you can write the code as per functionality. Okay, so whenever you have some requirement wherein you need to modify the system code, what you will do is you will raise a request in the LCS. We will call it as extensibility request. We will raise a extensibility request with the Microsoft. And what does that Microsoft architect will do is he will validate your requirement. If the requirement seems to be fine, then he will create a delegate for us, and then he will provide it. So what we will do, we are going to subscribe for the delegate, and we will write whatever the code we need. Okay, that's how it works.
In this
Okay.
way, the anyone can inject in between the code of existing code.
Exactly. If you want to inject in between the code, then you will use a delegate. Okay, but please remember this delegate, if they need to give, they will ask thousands of questions. Okay, it's not so quick. Okay, you ask for a delegate and they are going to give the delegate. It's not like that. First of all, they will verify the functionality, and then whatever the functionality that you have should be satisfied for everyone. That should be meet the requirements of all the customers. Then only they will give the delegate. Otherwise, they will not give. Okay, the requirement you have should be universal. Then only they will give the delegate. Otherwise, they will not give.
Can we
Okay,
create
so
a delegate on an extension? Suppose we create an extension of a sales table, or
see here, you can if why to create a delegate on extension, yeah?
so we can have a extensible functionality within
Okay, you
code.
can do that, but why you will create a delegate on extension? I did not get the requirement. Okay, because you can do that. Delegates can be created anywhere. You can create the delegate because it's like a simple methods. Okay, okay, it's a trigger. It's a trigger. You can create trigger anywhere. Okay, please remember that. Next. Okay, and this is about the delegates. Now let's move on to the next one called batch framework. See here, coming to the batch framework, if you want to execute something recurrently, then we are going to use something called batch jobs. If you want, let's say, you want to calculate the interest, okay, of the customers at regular intervals, every month or every year or every 6 months, every quarter, then you can use a batch job. And coming to this batch job, there are two different types of batch jobs. One is called run base, and the second one is called Sys-Op. Coming to the run base, it's a traditional one. We will have few methods, and we need to write those methods, and that will work. The second one is called Sys-Operation Framework. This is very, very important because going further, we are going to use only Sys-Op. Okay, run base, frankly speaking, in Dynamics 365, it's very rarely used. Okay, whereas Sys-Op you are going to use very, very regularly. Okay, so what is a Sys-Op? Sys-Op is similar to the SSRS in what? In the architecture. When you work with the Sys-Operation Framework, we are going to use MVC architecture, model view controller. Okay, means you will have the model data, you'll have the controller, you'll have the UI builder, everything. You can create a sophisticated dialogues. All that are not possible with run base. Okay, now let's see. So to work with the Sys-Operation Framework, I want to show you one example. So I will create a contract. I want some data now. So let me create a data contract. Okay, so that I can show you how to work with the UI builder as well. Okay, now let me call this as ICI sysop contract, and let's add some fields to it. Click on the add button. It will add a new class for us. Okay, and this class is a data contract class. So what you need to do? You need to add an attribute. What is that? Data contract attribute, to say that this is a data contract. And then in the contract you can add a number of parameters. Here I want to add minimum of 2 parameters. I'll call it as ICI generic. Where is date? Yeah, I have the date. And then I will say this as date param. And then I want to add one more attribute. ICI name. Oh, I did not create. Is it generic string? Yeah, it's generic string. I say generic string, and then I will say text parameter. I'm creating 2 parameters, and I want to create a data members for this. How to create a data member? Simply use public ICI generic date, and then param date param. Copy, copy, copy. Paste, paste, paste. Underscore date param equal to date param, and then you can simply say date param equal to underscore date param return date param. Done. This is my contract data member. Okay, so what I need to say? I need to say this is my data member. So I need to use data member attribute. In the bracket I need to say date param as the data member. Okay, and then what else do you want to do after specifying the data member? Okay, and even sometimes people used to ask me, oh, do you need to specify this? Is this mandatory? Okay, this time what we will do is, let's try removing this. Okay, previously I have added the data members. This time we will try removing this and see what happens. Sys-Operation. What is it? Yesterday we wrote na Sys-Operation label. Yeah, Sys-Operation label attribute. And then in the brackets, let's write date value, and then Sys-Operation help text attribute. In the bracket, let's say please enter date value, and then Sys-Operation. You have these attributes in case of SSRS reports as well. We have used label attribute, but if you want to use this, you can use them. Okay, display order attribute, and then I will say first order number is 1. Done. This is how we will define. Now I will take this data member, copy, paste. I want to use this text param now everywhere. Okay, I will say please enter text param. I will say order as 2. Okay, and if you give 1 1, then we don't know what is the priority. Okay, it might pick either any one of them. Okay, please remember. Okay, now this is our text parameter. So after entering this text parameter, we are done. We have the 2 attributes and the data contract is ready. Now let me take this generic string, paste, 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 and then paste it here. Done. Okay, now we are done. Now we are done with the data contract. And after completing the data contract, what is the next class? What is the next class that we need to create? We need to create a service class. So how to do that? Okay, right click, click on the add button, new item, and then you can take a class. You can call it as ICI Sys-Operation service. Okay, Sys-Operation service. Either you can call whatever you want. Okay, I'm calling it as Sys-Operation service. Click on the add button. It will add a new class. Here we need to write extends Sys-Operation service base. Okay, Sys-Operation service base and save. Now, if you remember, there should be a method. Okay, when we work with SSRS report, there is a method called process report. Is that right? Now, similarly, let me check here. What is the method? Can you see this? Oh, there is no method here. New finalize. These are the methods that I have. Then what to do? So see here, we need to create at least one method, and then we need to call it as process operation. I am calling it as process operation. You can call whatever you want. Okay, and to this you need to pass the contract ICI SysOp contract, and then you can call it as cont. And here I am writing the info. You can say strfmt, and then I will say %1 hyphen %2 comma. Here you can write whatever the piece of code. Let's say you want to have the values, and then you want to do something, some activity. Because if you remember, we have the performed some business logic from the contract, calculating the what do you call total transactions, all those in reports. Now the same thing you can do here. In case of batch job, you will do it here. Param date param. I'm just printing it, but you can use these values and you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want in the service. Okay, you will write the business logic, and now you're done with the business logic. Now I want to run this. How to run this? To run this, we need a main method. Main method means we need to go for a controller, click on the add button, and then create a new class. And I am creating a runnable class now. I will call it as ICI SysOp controller. Okay, I will call it as ICI SysOp controller. Click on the add button. It will create a new class for us. And in the SysOp controller, you need to extend this with Sys-Operation service controller. Okay, please remember. And in this Sys-Operation service controller, let me open the designer mode. Right click, click on the override button. You can see all these methods. Okay, if you call this start operation, then it will start the operation. If you want to validate something, you can use validate. Okay, if you want to validate something, you can use validate. And similarly, you will have the method called caption. Okay, if you want to set a caption, we will use a method called caption, which will return the class description, and then you can use caption. Using this method, you can set the caption. There will be a super call in this, but there is no, it's not needed. You can simply return the static string. You can say Sys-Operation demo. Okay, Sys-Operation demo. And then now in the main, what we need to write? Okay, I want to perform the operation. So what you can do? You can say ICI SysOp controller equal to new ICI SysOp controller, and then you can say controller dot start operation. That will trigger the batch. Okay, now let's say if you want to set the service class name and service method name, you need to do that in the constructor. You need to write a constructor public void new, and then you can do that here. How to set it up? Super for calling the new of Sys-Operation service controller, and then you can use this dot param. Yeah, this is the one class name, and in this you can say class str in the bracket. You can use the class name ICI Sys-Operation service. This is a service class name, and similarly you can use this dot param method name in the bracket. you can say method str, and then you can give the class ICI Sys-Operation service, comma process operation. So I am saying here, when this class will start, when this batch job starts, run this class and run this method. You can specify that method. And then if you want to set some caption for the dialog, you can use dialog caption. Like this, you have a lot of methods here. You can use all those methods. Okay, these are the minimum methods that we need to write. Okay, and I can say title of the sys operation or whatever it can be. You can do whatever you want. Okay, so this is how you are going to work with a controller. And I told you that this is a MVC framework. Then we need to have something called UI builder as well. Is that right? We need to have something called UI builder as well. Then what about this UI builder? How to work with this UI builder? Let's say I want to use the validate method of the control called date. I don't want to write it directly. How to do that? To do that, we will create something called UI builder. How to do that? Click on the add button, new item, and then you can take a class here. This class you can call ICI Sys-Op UI builder. Click on the add button. It will create a new class for us. And here you need to extend this class with Sys-Op Sys-Operation. This is the one, automatic UI builder, and then save. Done. This is the class that you need to use. Now you have the date field. Let's say how to work with this date field in this UI builder. We have created a dialog field, if you remember. Okay, dialog field, dialog group, the same thing you can do here. I'm using the date field. If you want to use the text field, use the text field. That's up to you. And then let me check what are the methods available. 1 second. Sys-Op UI builder, open designer, and if I right click here as well, you'll have the similar kind of methods: build, post build, and then post run. Okay, build we have seen there. So I want to use post build and post run here. And then let me check if there is any other method override. There is no validate. Pre-build. If you want to use, you can use those methods as well. Okay. So what we will do in this post build? What we will do in this post build? After the build is complete, I want to say, or I want to bind a dialog with this UI builder. How to do that? I need to use date field equal to this dot binding info. You have a method called bind info, and then you need to use dot. Here you will have a method called get dialog field. In this, you need to pass the data contract. This dot data contract object. The same way we will use it, we will do in SSRS reports. Identifier name. So identifier name is method. What is the method? Method str. In the bracket, you can say ICI Sys-Op contract. What is the method? Param date param. This is the method. Done. And now you got the date field here. Okay. Now what you got? You got the date field here. After getting the date field, what is the next step? Now date field is built. I want to validate the date field. But actually, I don't want to validate this directly in the previous one. I want to validate in this method. How to do that? To do that, I will write a method public boolean validate date, and in the bracket I will say form date control, and then I will use date control here, and then I want to validate this date here. If underscore date control dot date value, okay, is greater than today, I want to say error in the bracket date should be less than today. Okay, I want to throw this error, and then return false. Otherwise, return true. Done. This is what I want to do in Sys-Operation Framework. Okay, this is what I want to do in Sys-Operation Framework. But actually, how do this validate date? No one knows this. How to do that? We need to write the override method in the post run. Okay, how to do that? Date field dot register override method. Please remember, generally what we will do is, whenever, let's say you have the init method, and then you don't want to use that init method, instead of that you want to use another method in your chain of command or somewhere else, then you need to use this register override method, and then you need to write method str in the bracket form date control comma validate. This is my actual method comma method str in the bracket ICI sysop UI builder comma I have a method called validate date comma current object. This done. This is what you need to do. Now what it will do? It will call the validate method here. It will call the validate method here for this validate. This register override method is very useful. Please remember. Okay. Actually, I want to explain this as well, which is why I took UI builder. Otherwise, usually I will not take this UI builder, so that it would be useful for you. Okay. You can try this out. Now we are done with creating all the stuff. Now, how does this UI builder is bound to the data contract? In the data contract, we did not bind it. Now I need to do that. How to do that? To do that, we need to use along with the data contract attribute. What is that? Sys-Operation contract processing attribute. Sys-Operation contract processing attribute, and in the bracket you need to say class str, and then you need to say sys. Oh, what is the name here? ICI sys of UI builder. This is the one. Bracket class. Okay. Now the next step would be create a menu item and attach it to the controller. Let's do that. Right click on the add button. This is a batch job. Okay, it is a action. We need to create action menu item, and then you can call it as ICI sysop batch. Click on the add button and then go to properties. Here you need to set the label Sys-Operation demo, and then you can come back to this one, object type. You can select it to class, and then object is ICI sysop controller, because you need to have the main method ICI sysop controller. Done. Now you have the main method. Okay, and in the main method it will start the operation, and then it will do it. And here you have one more thing called enum parameters, and then enum type. Select the enum type here and take Sys-Operation execution mode. Okay, you'll have different types of execution modes. Synchronous, if you want to freeze the client, and if you want to execute, then you can use synchronous. Asynchronous and reliable asynchronous are similar. If you want to execute them at the backend, then you will use asynchronous or reliable asynchronous. Schedule batch, if you want to set it a specific time, then we will use schedule batch. Okay, these are the options that we have. And once you're done, take this menu item to the menu. Where is my menus? Here I say bank management system, open, and drag and drop this menu to the setup, save, and do a build. Okay, let it build. In the meantime, if you have any queries, please let me know.
Yeah, yesterday I pinged you a query of me about the service.
1 second. Just a second, let me check. How can we create a service that give data to outside of Dynamics? Do you remember OData?
Yes.
That is point number 1. You can use OData to get the back. And do you remember recurrence integration? I asked you to try once, but I don't know whether you people tried it or not. Recurrence integration. That is second way. Third way. If you want to return the data in the job, what I have done? I have returned a string. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Return in the hard-coded value, I return success. What you need to do? You need to create a JSON and return that JSON. Create a XML, return that XML.
Okay.
Same thing.
And on the service
Services.
side, what do we need to write? Any specific, like I have mentioned also?
You mean to
Is there?
say like we defined AF collection type as a method
Yes,
attribute?
yes.
See here, if you want to configure the return type attribute as a string, you can configure. Even if you don't configure and if you return the string, it will pick it up. Okay. If you are returning an object, okay, of a specific type, then you need to use this collection type. Otherwise, it's not needed, because when we are working with the business connector, most of the times we will use it. Okay. If you are returning a generic parameter like string or something else, then it's not needed. Okay. Whereas coming to this one, why I showed you as the object is, if it is a string, I would have taken directly string. Okay. There, my motto is to show you how to work with the object, which is why I mentioned a type of object as a list. Okay. If you are using a string, then there is no need of mentioning anything. It will automatically take it.
Yeah. Suppose I want to return a customer master, I mean custable data. Then I would go. I have to go with.
Return in the XML, yeah. Because if you are returning and the third party should know your custable, he don't know your custable. He can't take it up. You need to return some XML or JSON only. Okay. Otherwise, you need to create one. See, if the third party is also belongs to .NET framework, then here you need to create a .NET object, and then you can return the .NET object. If you are returning the .NET object, then you need to use the return. Okay. Let me show you. 1 second. Let me open the class. What is the class name? Forgot. Service class. Okay. Now here you can see I have mentioned collection type as record.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I want to take this. Now here you will mention the return type, and that return type will be the C# object if it is a C#. Whereas if you are returning a string, then there is no need of mentioning anything. Here as well, I want to take the input which is of type this service contract, which is why I mentioned it as a in this fashion. Otherwise, this is also not needed. Okay.
Okay. Now
I want it to identify. Yeah. Go ahead.
please continue.
Yeah, I want it to identify that
Yeah,
whatever I am going to get
yeah,
is type of
Kumar.
this service contract. Okay, which is why I wrote this. If you say no, I want to take a string, then there is no need of writing this collection type itself. Okay. Here, why I wrote this is you should know the purpose of this collection type as well, which is why I added it here. If you don't add it this as well, it will take the record. There will be no problem. Okay, but
Okay. So
identification, it is a type of service contract.
here I will return the JSON string to the outside method, the calling the method or the class which call this service from outside
Yes.
of 365.
They will get the JSON. Here I have added
Okay.
success. Instead of this success, you can add a variable call str JSON equal to, and you will have the JSON, return JSON. It will get the JSON.
Okay.
For generic types, no need of writing anything. For specific types, try to use this collection type attribute. Okay, if you don't use as well, it doesn't matter. But what will happen is later point of time, here I am using the record, and what is the type of the record? Again, you need to go through the code. Instead of that, you will be able to understand what is the type directly by using this collection type.
So either the method is get or post. If the type is generic, I need to use this AIF collection type. Am I
If it is
understanding
generic,
correctly?
no need. If it is generic, it's not needed. If it is specific, then you need to write it. That's why I told. Okay, if it is of object type, then use it. Then it would be more meaningful. If it is of generic type, then even if you add it or don't add it, directly you can understand he is returning a string. Okay.
Okay.
As it is a specific type, if you want to work with a specific type, then you need to add in this fashion. Next.
Are you
Okay.
explaining, Kumar?
Yes.
Are you explaining the electronic invoicing?
No.
Is it possible to explain?
Electronic reporting, it's not set up, yeah, in the VM itself. If I need to explain, I need to set up. It will take at least a few times. Okay. When you are working, then ping me if you have any issues. Then I will tell you how to solve them. Okay. Because that is not. We need to set it up first of all. Electronic reporting is. I have not set up anything here.
Okay.
This question actually, if you have asked me at the beginning of the sessions, now, then I might have added.
I will ask in the first session only. That's the reason I will ask you at the end of season. That's the reason yesterday also I will ask the, can you possible to do one more session?
I don't remember that. Okay. Let's see. You can come up with and let me know the topics, and we will check with the front office. Okay. Next. Okay. Modules and then back management
Software
systems.
integration.
That's
SSR.
already completed.
Okay.
Okay. Now it is asking for the date value and the text param, title of the Sys-Operation from the caption. Next, you can set some default value, which is tomorrow. It says date should be less than today. Okay, this is the power of register override. This register override you can use in many places. Please remember. Okay, because sometimes you will not be able to use the methods. Frankly speaking, in the form controls, they will not allow you to use the chain of command or something else like that. At that point, you can use this register override, and then you can write your own method. This will work. Okay,
And,
please remember.
Next.
Next.
And one more thing, Kumar. For suppose when we have to do the any product selection, if the
Girish, let's please wait for some time, because I will come back to the questions. Okay, let me finish this because those are different. It will go in a different way. Okay. So see here, if you select this run in the background, you can go select batch processing, and you can set the recurrence. And then let's say you want to set the minutes every 10 minutes and end after, and I will set it to no end date. Click on the OK button, and then if you select OK, it will trigger the batch. The Sys-Operation demo job is added to the batch queue. This is how we are going to work with Sys-Operation Framework. And in the similar fashion, what we have done in the accounts receivable, let me go to the sales orders, all sales orders, and let me see. I want to check one customer, and I want to update the minimum threshold and maximum threshold of that customer. Okay. Wait for a second. I will show you. Here you can see the customer accounts. I want to see one open order. Okay, let's take this DE001. Okay, I want to take this DE001 customer. Okay, where is minimum threshold? I will update these fields. Click on edit. I will set it to 2000 and maximum threshold to 5000 and click on the save button. Okay, now it got saved. Close this. Now you can see I want to go to this lines of this one, and I want to see what is the amount. configuration keys, we are done. This is for address. Where are lines? One second. Let me try to add line here. Come on. No. Just a second here. I want to take some other line, not this one. 1 second. Let me check this one. 1 second. Just a second. It's loading. One second. Let me check if there are any lines. Okay, there are 2 lines here. Oh, sorry. There are more number of lines. Now, what is the total amount? 3063, 170, 184. Okay. This is a quantity. The total price, unit price. Oh, it's very high. Good. Now let me go to sell. Confirm sales order. Okay. Come on. And then let me click on OK button. Oh no, it's not throwing the error. Yeah. Something wrong with our code. No, it's there. Threshold failed. Sorry, I haven't seen that. Okay. Can you say this? Threshold failed. From where we did get it? Where did we write that throw error threshold failed? In the chain of command? Check failed? In the what is the other one? Let me show you. Sales form letter underscore extension event handler. This is how we are going to work with extensions of classes. Got it? This is how we will work with them. Okay, now let's move on to the last topic, the workflows. Now see here, the workflows will go in a process. So what we will do is, I think already we have created a table called ICI employee expense. Yeah, it's there. I want to go with this table and I want to attach the workflow and show you. Okay. Actually, in this environment, workflow is not working, but I will show you all the steps. Okay. I will try to show you all the steps. If it works, then that would be great. Because previously as well, I have tried, but let's see. We have added this one. We have added the field groups and everything is good. Did we create a query for this employee expense? I don't think so. Did we create a query for this employee expense? I think not. So let's do that. Okay. Did we write any methods here? No. Okay, let's write the methods as well. The first thing we need to do is we have a method called can submit to workflow. This method we are going to use. If this method returns true, then only you can submit to workflow, otherwise not. Okay. Currently, let it even if you use that super or not, that doesn't matter. Directly if you return true, that will be also enough here. Okay. So what I will do is I will say if this dot, and then I will say expense status equal to ICI expense status is colon not submit. If the workflow is not submit, sorry, if the expense is not submitted, then only allow the end user to submit to workflow, otherwise not. And then we will write one more method here, and I will call that method as public static void update workflow status. Okay. Actually, I want to use this method only for one reason. Instead of always writing the piece of code for updating the workflow, you can use a simple method here. I will take ref id underscore rec id comma ICI, because we are going to update expense status a whole lot of times. Expense status done. And then here, what we need to do? ICI employee expense, and then you can call employee expense here, and then select for update employee expense where employee expense dot rec id equal to underscore rec id. Now you got the employee expense. Next, if employee expense is not equal to null. Okay, sometimes people used to ask me, can I simply write not employee expense? Yeah, you can do that. That is also the right one. Okay, TTS begin. I am not using the exception handling, but you need to. Employee expense dot expense status equal to underscore expense status, and then employee expense dot update. Done. And then you need to use TTS commit. Done. Okay, this is the next step. So once you're done with this step, the next step is to create a query. Click on the add button, new item, and then create a query for this. Where is the query? Data model, query, and then you can call it as ICI employee expense query. I'm calling it as ICI employee expense query. Click on the add button. So now here, go to data sources, solution explorer, and drag and drop the employee expense. Where is employee expense? Here it is. Drag and drop to the data sources, and then in the data source properties, set dynamic to yes. Okay, save, and then first to fast, yes, done. There is no need of updating anything, so I don't want to do anything else. Okay, simply use these steps. Okay, the next step would be create a new screen for this employee expense. How to do that? Did we create it? Let me check. In the forms, I say employee expense, it's not there, so let me create the one. Click on the add button, new item, and then go to user interface, and then a form. Let's call this form as ICI employee expense. Okay, and then in this, what is the data source here? You can add a table or you can add whatever you want. Okay, click on the apply pattern and then take a simple list. Okay, and then add action pin here. Right click on the add. 1 second. New button. and then action pane. One second here. Very bad. You understood what happened? I am trying to search for that action pane and it is not getting clicked. Action pane. Okay. Now I got this. I am not going to add anything in the action pane. And then I need to add the group control. Right click, click on the new button, and then add a group control here. And then select the pattern. One second. Apply pattern. Custom and quick filter. Add a quick filter. New. And then you can use a quick filter. Done. And then add a simple grid. Grid. Yeah, we are done. Now go to Solution Explorer and we have a table. And then drag and drop this employee expense table to the data source. And pull out all the fields. Drag and drop it to the grid. And set grid properties data source to employee expense. In the design, go to solution properties. One second. Set data source to employee expense. Workflow data source. You need to set it to employee expense. Workflow enabled. Set it to yes. Workflow type we have not created any. We will create the workflow type and then we will add it here. Okay. We need to come back and then we need to add the workflow type as well. Otherwise, it is not going to work. Please remember. Okay. The next step, we need to start with the workflow. How to start with it? Right click on the project, click on the add button, new item. The first thing you need to do is go to business process and workflow. You have all these things. Create a workflow category. Okay. Click on the add button. Go to properties and then, oh, sorry, yeah. Let me delete this. I want to give some name. I forgot to give the name. One second. Okay. Let me delete this and let me set the name. Okay. Click on the add button, new item, workflow category, and let's call it as ICI workflow category. Click on the add button. Now, if you right click and go to properties, you can see there is a workflow. You can add some good label. ICI employee expense workflow, and then copy, paste, and then save. Employee expenses belongs to human resource module. So let me set it to human resource. One second. Let me check. Set it to human resource. Done. Okay, you can set it in any module, that's up to you, but I am setting it to human resource. Now, once you're done with creating the workflow category, and go and create a next step where you need to create a workflow type. Select the workflow type and then call it ICI employee expense workflow type. Add. Okay. Let's wait for a minute. Hey, it will take more 15 or 20 minutes max, not more than that. You can select the category here. Oh, we have not created the menu item. I need to create the menu item. One second. User interface, a display menu item. I need to call it for ICI employee expense. Click on the add button and then in the properties set object type to form, object to ICI employee expense, and then you can call it as label employee expense. Done. Save. Okay. Next step. Now you can go to workflow type. Click on the add button, new item, and then go to business process and workflow. create a workflow type. You can call it as ICI employee expense workflow type. Now it will open a wizard for us. And in this wizard, select the workflow category, ICI workflow category, this is mine, and then select the query. 1 second, it will load. ICI employee expense query document menu item, it's ICI employee expense. Okay, you can take ICI. 1 second, let me come down. This is the one. Okay, and then click on the next button. Now you can see it is going to create a whole lot of classes: event handler, document, submit manager. So approved. Let's see. Okay, let's see all this. Click on the finish button. It will create all these classes for us. Now we are done with creating the workflow type as well. We need to go and attach that workflow type to the form. Okay. Now go to your employee expense form, and then in the design, go to properties. You can see here, you can attach ICI employee expense workflow type. Okay, ICI employee expense workflow type. This is the one. Actually, it will not show lookup. Don't worry. And then the next step is go to Solution Explorer, and then you can see the work items it has created. Good. Now we have attached this workflow type, so we will get the workflow menu as well. You can see there is a submit manager, and then a event handler, and then a document. Okay, this is where we will write the code. In the document, it is getting the query, which is good. And in the event handler, what to do when started, cancelled, completed. If you want to write some events, you can write it here. This is the main method. Okay, in this main method, when workflow is triggered, what should be done? Okay, let's write the code. We need to update the status to. We need to update the status to the submit. I say employee expense, and then I'm taking the ref rec ID, and then I will take rec ID. So from where you will get the rec ID? We have the arguments. We have the arguments. Args dot. We have a method called record, and from this record we will get rec ID. Okay. Please remember, whenever you are working with the arguments, you will have the rec ID of the record that you are processing in the arguments. Okay, and you can get it using the args.record. Okay, and let's say if you want to use this workflow in any other places as well, you need to define something called correlation ID. There is a workflow correlation ID. We need to define that ID. Okay, I will say relation ID. That will be enough. And then, what is the workflow type here? Workflow type. We have type name, and then you can use workflow type name equal to workflow type str in the bracket. What is the name? ICI employee expense workflow type. Close, semicolon. Done. What is the next step? What is the next step? Let's say you want to add the comment. Then we can use workflow comment. Yeah, this is the EDT. And then you can say comment equal to submitting workflow for approval. Okay, you can do this. The main and important thing is the dialog that will get opened when you are triggering the workflow. To do that, we need to create a workflow submit dialog. What is that? Workflow submit dialog. Oh, K is not working good in my laptop, it seems. Workflow submit dialog. Workflow submit dialog. and then you can use this going forward. You have a method called construct, and in the construct it is expecting workflow version. We need to use underscore args dot caller dot. Here we will have a method called get active workflow configuration. This is the method. Okay, actually that method you will not see, but it will be there. Okay, and then you can say workflow submit dialog dot run. Then it will open the dialog for us. Now the dialog got opened. What is the next step? If the dialog is closed, workflow submit dialog dot param closed. Okay, now workflow dialog got closed. What is the next step you need to do? When it is closed, you need to get the employee expense record args dot get record. Sorry, args dot record. I think yeah, args dot record. Now you got the record. Okay, and let's say you want to get the comment that is provided by the end user, and you don't want to use this comment. Then you can define one more comment employee. Okay, and then you can take that here, comment employee equal to, and then you can get this comment. How to get this? Workflow submit dialog dot param workflow comment. This way you can get the comment from the dialog. If you want to give your own comment, you can do that as well. Okay, and similarly if you want to use this anywhere else, then I told you that you can get the correlation ID. How to do that? Let me use exception handling, and then I want to activate the workflow. Before activating the workflow, I want to use TTS begin, and then I want to say, okay, before activating, it's rel ID workflow correlation ID equal to, how to get it? Workflow colon activate from workflow configuration ID, activate from workflow type. I need to use this, and then I need to specify the workflow type name, and then what else you need to provide? The rec ID employee expense dot rec ID, and then what you need to provide? The comment. I am taking the comment employee. If you want to take comment, you can do that. And then what else you need to provide? Activating from web? No, this is not enterprise portal. Oh, sorry, I have given yes. It should be no. And then what you need to provide? Workflow submitting user. If you want to provide, it's optional. Okay, because it will take automatically, so I am not providing anything. Done. I got the relation ID. Next, what is the next step? Submit this to workflow. How to update it to submit? Employee expense dot expense status equal to expense status is, oh no, it's ICI expense statuses colon submit, and then employee expense dot update. Close. With this we are done. Okay, and if you want to throw any exception, if there is any, okay, then you can use catch, a generic catch, and then you can say error in workflow. Done. This is how you're going to create the workflow type. Okay, so after this, oh, there is some error. Save. Okay, this is how we are going to create the workflow type, and this is how we are going to activate the workflow, construct the workflow dialog, and all the steps. Okay, now let me do a rebuild once. Okay, we have updated the table, so I need to set sync to true. Click on apply. Okay, and we need to do a rebuild. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please let me know.
The use of that rel ID here, we just fetch it, and where
There
do
will
we
be
use
something
it?
called sub workflow. Okay, if you want to go and work with that sub workflow, then we will use the relation ID, correlation ID.
Sub workflow.
Yeah, You can trigger workflow from a workflow.
Okay.
This question is not related to for this one. Can I ask Kumar?
Yeah. Until it builds, you can ask anything.
Yeah, in sales order line, I want to warranty period from date to date
Hmm.
in general.
Okay.
It's customization, right? It will be
Hmm.
not there.
Hmm.
So how we can achieve that?
In the previous batch, you have asked similar kind of customization. I showed that customization in that batch, but you are not there. Okay, it's simple. Create
That's
an
the
extension
reason
of the same.
I
Sorry?
will ask for batch because I will be there for this.
Even this as well, you have done the similar kind of thing. Okay. So see
I
here.
will not be there.
Simply
Actually, I
create
will.
a yeah. 1 second. Simply create a table extension for sales line table, and then add 2 fields. One is called your start from date and to date, and that would be your warranty period. If you want to modify any
No,
code
not
or initialize with values,
warranty
you can do
sales
that.
from date to date. They want to ask for only single
Then you need to add in the
drop
sales
down.
table. In the sales table, add it.
Okay.
If they want only for a particular to order, then add it in the sales table. That's it. If they are asking for a line, then add it in the line.
In general, they are asking about this.
I did not get you. This means
In general and line details, both the things they are expecting.
then add it in both the places. Yeah, you can add it in both the places at that point in sales table and sales line.
Okay. And one more thing that is in the product tab, I need to add restricted item. In the top menu box is there, right? To maintain new product, maintain, setup, and product kit. After that, I have to add one more thing called restricted item.
Okay.
And it can be defined in here general tab also. It can be reflected.
Create an extension for that format, then to do that. And similarly, if the restricted item is there, then it is fine. Otherwise, you need to create a table extension and you need to add it.
In the top box, like menu, we have to see that maintain new product master, language, setup, product kit.
Exactly. You can add one more button. You
Okay.
can add one more button called restricted item, and then you can do whatever you want in it.
Okay. And in the released products details in the general tab, I need to add the restricted item.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do whatever you want here. It's not a big deal. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now build got completed successfully. Let's move on. See here. Now that we have created a workflow category and workflow type. Now let's go to the add button and then click on the new item. Let's set some workflow approval as well. You can see here there is a workflow approval. Okay. And then I will call this as ICI employee expense workflow approval. Okay. Click on the add button. This will create a workflow approval for us. What is a workflow approval? See here, sometimes what will happen is you want to set up a process. You want to set up a process of approval. To set up the process of approval, we are going to use this workflow approval. And here as well, you need to specify the workflow document. And the workflow document is the ICI employee expense workflow type document. Field group, I am taking overview where it will contain all the items. And then document menu item. In the document menu item, select ICA employee expense as the menu item. It's loading. This is the one. Deny outcome, I don't need. So click on the next button. Now it is going to create a event handler, resubmit manager, and then all these menu items and everything for us. Okay. What it will do is approved. When it is approved, what should be done? When it is rejected, what should be done? When it is a question, what should be done? When it is a delegate, what should be done? When it is a resubmit, what should be done? It is going to create all the menu items. Okay. And then it is going to create one class, which is the event handler, and where we are going to work with the workflow.
One more thing, Kumar.
Wait for a minute. Once this is finished now, I will come back there. Okay.
Sir, workflow related only I will ask you.
Yeah, what is it?
Actually, we have to approval from lot of members. We need to upload like the managers, like warehouse related and everything like that.
I will show you.
So multiple people are there. So I need to do the batch processing for that thing.
Workflow is already a batch processing. Yeah.
Workflow.
I will show you. Okay, wait for a minute.
No,
Once
no.
this is finished, you will understand where it will go. Okay. Wait for a minute. Let it finish. Okay. Now see here. If you want your workflow approval to work in your workflow, then you need to add it in the supported elements of the workflow type. Okay. So workflow element reference, go to the properties, and let's call it as ICI, employee expense approval. You can see here type is approval and add the element name. So what is the element name? The element name is ICI, employee expense workflow approval. Okay. Simply copy this and then in the supported elements, paste the element name. Okay. Please remember, try to use copy and paste so that there will be no mistakes. Okay. Done. Now we are done with this. The next step is it has created the event handler class now for us. Now we need to go to the event handler, the workflow. Where did it create here? Okay, workflow approval event handler. And then if you click on the view code, you can see it will say workflow is started. Workflow started means what you need to do. What is the action that you need to perform when the workflow is started? What is the action that you need to perform? Workflow is denied. What is the action? Okay, that you need to specify here. So simply what you can do is you can set it to ICI employee expense : update workflow status in the bracket ref rec ID. From where you are going to get the rec ID? You have the workflow event args. From this event args, you need to get it underscore workflow event args dot. Here you are going to have something called param workflow context, and from this you will have dot param. This is the one rec ID. Okay, you will have the correlation ID as well, and then you can use comma expense statuses. You can use ICI expense statuses : and then you can say submit. Done. Okay. Now the next thing is, let me do one thing. Let me move this one. Okay. The next thing is cancelled. Here the status will become : cancelled. The third one is completed. Completed means the status will become completed. Denied. The status will become denied, means rejected. Change request. The status will become change requested. And then the status will become returned. Okay. Either you can go for resubmit or reject. Okay, that's up to you. Created. The status will become whatever you want, you can add or you can keep it empty. That's up to you. Okay. Save. Done. We are done with the workflow. That's it. Plus this. Now, how to work with this workflow? Let's build the workflow and see it from the front end. I will remove sync here because that is not needed. No more. I will set this sync to false. Click on apply. Okay. And then do a rebuild. Done. So once the build is finished, we will go to the front end and we will see how to work with workflows. Please remember, this action will work only on Internet Explorer. Yeah. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please let me know.
Yeah. Can you please come to employee exp workflow type?
Sure.
Yeah. What this supported element means in here?
Supported elements means we have workflow tasks, workflow automated tasks, workflow approvals. Okay. Now let's say if you want to perform some automated task here, you can add it. Okay. Because if I go to the properties, let me show you. You can see the type. Here type is approval, task, automated task. If you want to do some kind of job in an automated fashion, or if you want to add, because by default, if you add a workflow like this, without any approver, it is going to work and then it can function automatically. You don't want to do that. You want to add multiple levels of approvals. Then you need to use employee expense approval. You want to add some automated task to it. After this, when this is run, you want to add one more sub thing. Okay, one more sub. Then you need to use this supported elements. And then you need to add it here. If you add this supported elements, then only you will be able to add it in the workflow designer. Okay, 1 second, I will show you. Let it load. Once once it finishes loading, I'll show you. Okay. Now the first step we need to do is go to human resources module, and then you can see human resource workflows. Select this, and then you need to see a new workflow. 1 second, let it load, and click on new. Here we need to find our workflow. Check, ICI. Can you see this? It's there. Select the ICI workflow type. Okay. Please remember, this action will work only with Internet Explorer. It is not going to work in other browsers. And then use your user account. On Microsoft.com. Click on the next button, and then give your password. Oh, 1 second. Yeah, it's good. This one is on. It's 555889. Verify. Okay, let it open. I'll show you. Okay, now you can see here. Okay, coming to your question, Gaurav, you can see this employee expense now. This is called the supported element. If you want to have this kind of supported element, then you need to create it. Otherwise, not create it. Now simply you can drag and drop a line, come down. You will have the stop or the end. Now, whatever you add in the approval element, it will consider that. You can provide the instructions. You can see here step 1 properties. You can update the values. Okay. I'm simply adding approve here. You can configure them. Okay. Assignment. Which user should approve this? I will say user, and then user will be myself. So admin done. Okay. All these things should be configured. Otherwise, it is not going to work. Okay. Now, if you click on the workflow, you can see this one. All the instructions are fine. Unless and until you add the supported element, you will not get this here. You need to add the supported elements for this reason. Okay. So once you are done with these settings, and coming to your question, Girish, you want to add multiple approvers, all those things. You can do this here. Okay. You have added the approval element. In this approval element, you can go to basic settings and you can see the users. Okay. You can add any number of users you want.
Okay.
User. You can add any number of users. Let's say you're adding multiple users, then multiple users should approve. In the completion policy, if you set all approvers, then everyone should approve. If you select single approver, only that approver. If one approver is approving, that will be enough. You can set the conditions. Similarly, let's say sometimes you want to add a condition. If the amount is greater than this one, then this approver. If the amount is greater than, this should go to the next level. Then you will use the condition here. Okay, remember. Next, submission instructions. If you want to add something, you can add it. I'm adding some text. Close. Okay. Click on save and close. Give the version notes. First version. Click on OK button. Activate the new version. Okay. Now, once it is activated, the screen will get closed automatically. You can see here flow controls, sub workflow. This is what I said. If you are working with the sub workflow, then you need correlation ID. In the sub workflow as well, if you want to add some approvals or something else. And these things will be created by functional guys, not the technical guys. But
Yeah, that's right.
in this case, I don't have any options, so I show you. Okay.
Right. And one more thing, Kumar, if the production we have to select like a product, we have to given the product master, right? In the production,
Girish, just give me a few minutes. We'll come back there. Okay. We'll finish and then we'll come back.
yeah.
Otherwise, in the meeting as well, what will happen is in this meeting, we will see workflow and then we'll go to product and then we'll come back. So let's finish this off.
Yeah, because it should be take time, right? That's the reason I will talk.
Come on. Okay, it's done. Now click on the close button. You will see the new workflow type activated. Refresh. You will see I say employee expense workflow type. And I think employee expense, did we add it in back management system? No. Okay, let me do one thing. ICI employee expense. Let me add it in the menu. 1 second. Menu. Back management system. Open. Go to Solution Explorer. And then where is my menu item? Okay. Save. Let me do a build. 1 second. And then I will show you configuring one employee. Okay, we'll see that within a minute. This is about workflow and how you are going to work with workflow.
Or can you also explain mappings also?
Mappings. I asked
Yeah.
you to try. You have not tried. You try it
Yeah.
out and ping me if you have any queries.
Okay.
If you have tried and if you have asked me, I would have explained it on that particular time itself. Right. I think Moshir has asked one more question about the query based report. Let me show you. It's not like that you have my contact number now, you can ping me at any point of time. No worries. Okay. When you are
Okay.
facing some issues in the company or because I will learn and you will learn. Both the things will
Yeah.
happen. Okay.
Thanks.
And even if you any one of you people are interested in working as a part-time as well. Okay, because daily you can work for 1 or 2 hours and you will get monthly some 40 or 50,000, 50K. So if you are interested for that as well, you can ping me your contact number and you can ping me the details. I will provide some person numbers because I have some contacts in US, UK, Canada, and Saudi. Okay,
Yeah, sure.
they need people. They need people. Okay.
Yeah, sure, Kumar.
Yeah. One second, let it load. Okay. Now let me go to bank management system and then employee expense. Now you can see options. Okay, let me create a new record. 1 second. 5,000 not submitted. I will say filled. I will select the employee ID of one of them. 1 second. And then save. Now you can see the workflow button. You can submit. I have not changed the okay. I have not changed the labels. You need to change them. Okay. Submitting. Submit. So once you submit this, now there are few batch jobs. Okay, there are 2 batch jobs which will run. Okay, let me go to system administration, and then you will see something called batch jobs here. Okay, there are 2 batch jobs which are related to workflow, which should be in running state. Okay. Okay, this should be running. 418, 17, 418, 17, 434. Okay, seems like they're running. Let's see. Or I can do one more thing, message processing. This is what I need. You can simply edit this and you can make it 21 and then save so that it will run. Oh, good. That means batch job has already run. Okay. So once this batch job has run, then actually you can see that in the history itself. Let me show you. Bank management system, employee expense, and then workflow. You can see now. If you want to approve, you can approve. Okay, this menu I got it because I have assigned myself as the user. And then if you click on the approve, it will get approved. Click on approve menu item. Once the batch job runs back, it will go to approve. Okay. Now it's in submitted. So once it is completed, it will be in upload state. Okay. That as well you can check in the version history. You can click on view history. In the history, you can see what happened. Okay, it will show you all the details: creation, submission, approval. Okay, step 1. You can see all these details here. I thought, okay, good, it worked. Okay, work item is approved. Actually, this was not working in the previous time. Okay, mostly I think the batch jobs were not running. At that time, we have faced with the same issue of the batch jobs. Okay, now we
And
don't have that issue. It's fixed in this version. Okay, yeah.
And one more
Yeah.
thing, Kumar. And for suppose if the batch jobs are not running for like this workflow or anything related sales orders and anything, what are the main services we need to look into? And
AOS service and batch.exe. Those are the two services you need to look into.
sorry,
AOS. One is
okay,
application object server and the other one is batch.
okay,
Next.
okay.
Kumar, can you please come to code? Yeah, there is one submit manager. In there also we have different methods which can submit or change the status. And
in this
there
submit
is
manager you will have only main method.
there is one more class. Not I'm not getting its
That
name.
is different one. Okay, I
Yeah.
got it. You were saying
Yeah.
about workflow type event handler. Okay, you can write
Yes.
here as well. Okay, if you write here, it's only for single user. There is no approval. Okay, I want to show you the approval, which is why I did not write code here.
Okay.
You can write here as well, but I want to show you how the approval will work, which is why I wrote all that. Okay. Okay.
If
Now
this is for single user, then we should use this. If
yes.
this for multi-level user or
Not
multi-level
multi-level. Exactly,
okay.
multi-level approvals.
Okay.
Okay, I will create a report. Let me show you. ICI query based. Click on the add button. And where exactly did you face issue? Moshe,
No,
while creating a query based report, where exactly you faced the issue?
not issue. I don't. I wanna see example of query. That's all.
Okay. Now you can see here I am taking the customers table. Click on the next button. It will list out all the fields for you. And then you can select the fields, click on OK button. You're done. The query report, query based report is done. This is what we will do. Query based report is very simple here. It's not a difficult thing. Yeah, next. If you have any other questions in the meantime, you can let me know.
Can you please explain what is business events?
Okay. Coming to the business events, frankly speaking, they are costly. Okay. Why they are costly means whenever, let's say you have some small action to be performed. For example, workflow is completed and you want to inform some third party saying that this workflow is completed and you can do the another work. Okay. This kind of small things can be done by using the business events. Okay. This kind of small things, if you have any, then you can do using the business events. And let's say you have a single table data and you want to move the data. Okay, you want to send the data to the third party, then you can use a business event. I said business events are costly because the business events will involve the Azure. Whatever you do with the business events, you need Azure because you need to post them on the service bus or queue or table or whatever it can be. Okay.
Okay.
So what I used to suggest is, if you're okay for spending, if your customer is okay for spending more amount on it, then you can go with business events. Otherwise, go with a simple REST API or SOAP API, yeah? Or ask them to provide a service and consume it. Done.
Okay.
Okay. Next, that's it. This is what you need to do with query based report. You can create a menu item and you can open it. Next.
And
Is
one
this
more
fine?
thing,
Go ahead.
Yeah, you can ask Muhammad after. Finally, I will ask. Okay. You can ask your doubts.
And I'm checking in the code. Please download. Okay.
Yeah. Kumar, if I again copy and paste that, will it accept that? Or
It will. You can do it hundreds of times.
okay.
And one more thing, Kumar, can you please give me the user ID and password so I can download for this solution?
User ID is Chris
Can
at the rate pkd365.onmicrosoft.com. Password is red at the rate 2020. Done. Okay.
okay.
Next.
Is this final session tomorrow?
Yep.
No session tomorrow?
No. We are done. If you have any questions, you can let me know or you can ping me on WhatsApp.
And one more thing, Kumar.
Yeah, go ahead.
That in the production,
Hmm.
for suppose we are unable to take the product master related like a color and size, what may be the reason? But we can configure in the product master only.
Did not get your question.
For suppose product and product master we have to define in the product information management, right?
Okay.
So in the production product master, we need to select the product master like size and colors, right? In that the masters are not appearing. Maybe what is the reason?
You need to debug and check. Yeah.
Okay, because this is not my issue actually. AX 2012, one of my friend is facing the issue. He can't unable to share. That's the reason I will ask you.
Might be some issue with connectivity or data. Okay. But actually, if
Okay.
we need to know the exact issue, then you need to let me know what
We
is
need
there. Okay.
to see the we don't want to see how we can give the solution. That's the reason I will ask you. Just take me the screenshot. What is the error? Also, sorry, that is fully restricted.
Yeah, you
He
can
will suggest.
ping me. Yeah, because if you can ping me the screenshots and what is happening, then I can at
Yeah,
least
yeah,
try that and let you know. Okay. Do that.
yeah, definitely. I'm asking same thing also. If you are providing the screenshot, means definitely I can help you. Without screening the screenshots, I really don't know. So that's the reason.
Yeah.
And
Any other questions?
yeah. Wait. LCS, I will ask you previously, like asset library, business processor, BPM.
That actually, I suggest you to check the videos and then come back.
Okay. I know, but I need to explain from your end. That's the reason I will ask you.
Yeah. Please go through the videos and come back. Huh?
Yeah, sure.
If you have any queries, then I will sort them out.
Okay. Because these are people, somebody only knows. So that's the reason I will ask you only.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, you can ask me at any point of time.
Yeah.
Why it is saying unauthorized? Okay, let me check it. Okay, no worries. Yeah, any other questions?
And just wait. What are the are you providing the documents? What are the changes happening for this version like 10.0.13 and previous
I don't
version?
have to provide any documents. The documents you need to check in MSDN.
Yeah, I have downloaded, but what are the major you have observed? At least some of the points I can expect from your end.
Not some of the points because there will be a whole lot in the release notes. Because, for
Yeah,
example, I will tell you in 7.0 there is no chain of command. Later on, they have implemented chain of command. In the extensibility, there are a lot of things. The register override, and I will explain on the fly all those things. Okay.
Yeah. Why I'm asking means I am working for purely this functional, right? So some of the things only I can involved in the technical.
Yeah,
So that's the reason
got it.
I will ask
I
you
understood.
purely for this.
Yeah, because that actually we will
See,
take it from the
and
release notes.
D365, lot of changes are there, right? So that's the reason I will ask you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, actually, yeah, what we will do is we will go and check in the release notes what are the differences, and then we will start working with it. Okay?
Okay.
Because unless and until we see the release notes, we don't know.
Okay.
Difference I can tell, we cannot post using 10.0.9, but we can do in 10.0.13.
What post?
And that Postman service, I was unable to post data from
No.
Postman.
That will work in 10.0.9 as well. There should be some other issue.
Okay.
Mm. And there are financial dimensions are added, right? Some two financial dimensions are added, right? For 10.13, any idea about it for you?
Financial dimensions, that's a functional one. I will not share.
Okay. And can you tell me what are the recent changes in just few points in technical 10.13?
Frankly speaking, the changes will be on the enumerations, the base enumerations, the extensibility requests, those things we need to check. Okay, because
Okay.
on the fly, I am not going to remember anything. Okay, I suggest you to do the same. Don't think about what are the changes and what are all those. Just whenever is needed and whatever is there, you need to use it. If you try to remember all those things, it's an ERP. Okay, you are going to have around 35 to 40 modules, and it's not a easy thing to remember everything. Okay, thousands of people sit together and build the ERP for us. Okay, we are just using whatever is needed for us. Okay, so please remember,
Yes, sir.
don't try to remember all the things.
Yeah.
Next, any
No,
other
no, no.
questions?
In the interview, if I am going to take the interview for technical, people are definitely ask, right? So that's the
No
reason.
one will ask you these questions. No one will ask you what are the changes between one version and another version. Okay,
No. 2012 and D365, they are asking, right? So
that
that's the reason.
that you will have. Yeah, that is a valid question. That's what I'm saying. They are going to ask you what are the changes between AX 2012 and D365. They are not going to ask you what is the difference in 10.0.14 and 10.0.15. Okay, because if you are one second, if you are attending the functional interview, and then if there are any major changes between those two versions, then you will get that question. Okay, because up to now, whatever the interviews I saw, okay, 90% of the cases we found only one thing. Okay, difference between AX 2012 and D365. Difference
Yeah.
between, because whenever you are working with the product, there will be two different things. One is called major version, second one is called minor version. Okay, because in the major version they are going to ask you what are the changes. Major version means now you have 7.0, you have 8.0, you have 10.0. What they will do is they will ask what is the difference between 7.0 and 8.0. What is the difference between 8.0 and 9.0? What is the difference between 9.0 and 10.0? Something like this. Okay. Whereas if you say what is the difference between 10.0.14 and 10.0.15, there will be very few people who will go and check that release notes, and even you as well. No one is able to remember everything because the changes are there on the extensibility requests. Okay, please remember major versions. You need to remember what is the differences. Okay, minor versions, don't take care about them. Okay,
Yeah.
if anyone
Yeah.
is asking in an interview what is the difference in the minor version? That means what is the difference between 10.0.15 and 10.0.16? Then I will simply say go and check in MSDN. Okay, because major version differences are needed. Minor versions, you have a lot of extensibility changes. You will not find the difference technically. Okay, if you have the technical differences, you will have them only in the major versions.
Yeah, I know, Kumar. Actually, one of my friend attending the TechM interview, so they are asking this question. So that's the reason I will
What is that
ask you.
question? What is that question?
Same. They are asking even 10.0.1 to 10.0.13. What are the changes?
Then I will tell you one thing. Actually, if someone is asking you about the version questions, this kind of minor version things, then simply
Yeah.
tell them it's the part of the release notes. Okay, and you need to give the generic answer in that case. The generic answer will say whatever the extensibility requests are there. There are changes in the base enumerations. There are changes in the EDTs. This is what you need to answer. You need to answer in the generic fashion, because specific fashion you would not be able to check each and every difference of each version. No one will be able to remember that unless and until someone goes and digs into it and tries to check all the things. And even then, remembering them is not possible. Okay?
Yeah.
Major
Because
versions.
he
That's
is
what I'm
given
saying.
the same answer like you, only versions we are given the answers like that only. But you are working right. At least some of the changes you need to know, means he will explain some also. What are the other changes they are asking like this?
I will tell you. See here. In 10.0.9, I got one base enumeration. Okay. In that base enumeration, I asked Microsoft guys to extend that. They have extended that and given that to me in 10.0.10. Okay. I will ask you an interview question. What is the change between 10.0.9 and 10.0.10? Because I have raised the extensibility request, so I know that. How you would know? How many base enums will you check? How many EDTs will you check? Okay. Because I don't know who asked that question, but that's an invalid one. Because major versions, if they ask you what is the difference between AX 2012 and Dynamics 365, if they ask you what is the difference between AX7 and AX8, if they ask you what is the difference between AX8 and AX10, then that's a valid question. Or if they ask you if there are any technical differences between 10.0.1 and 10.0, because in AX 2012, there are patches, there are cumulative updates, and there are releases. Do you know what is the difference between these three? Patches means, let's say the customer has got a small issue, product issue, and he needs an immediate fix. For that, the Microsoft will give you a patch and you will use it. Second one is cumulative update. They will collect hundreds of patches and then they will make one single update. That would be your cumulative update. And the third one is release. You are going to group these cumulative updates if they are more in number, and if the Microsoft feels okay, this needs another release, then they are going to give a new release. This is how it works. Okay, Girish, are you there? Any other questions?
No.
Okay, thank you all. And if you have any questions, or if you think you need any one more session to discuss something, please let me know. You can ping me on WhatsApp. We will check with front office team and we can get the schedule. Okay. Thanks all for the session. Bye.